I'm reading stories to Fiona at night and a lot of books, and like anytime the word for, like FOR for, and it's in the middle of the sentence, I'm just trying to prevent myself from saying fur. Like that just drives me nuts. Like I hear myself say it, and that's like such a Michigan thing, and I'm like, I need to break that so she does not repeat said cycle and she can pronounce things correctly. There's a lot of little things like that, though.
I've never thought about that, but I'm pretty sure that I say that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times.
Yes.
Not all the time, but I definitely do it for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
There you go.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I never say for sure, and I say for sure all the fucking time. So. Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 57, and my name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery.
Hey everybody.
And it's just the two of us again tonight. John's coming up to a tax deadline at work, and obviously everything's just kind of crazy in the world right now.
Certainly.
So it's just going to be the two of us, and we just wanted to get things started by talking about a really, really awesome bundle that the website Itch.io, which I actually, just recently made an account for with the game I've been working on with Glenn, and hadn't really purchased anything on there, and it's a PC or, computer, not just PC, but Mac and Linux, and I think even Android as well.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Gaming platform, and I think there's also like soundtracks, but anyways, there's this huge bundle that they put out, and it's called the Bundle for Racial Justice and Equality, and at the moment of we're recording this on Thursday before the episode comes out here, but I think there's over 1,500 items in the bundle, and it's just a $5 minimum donation, and obviously you can donate anything you want beyond that,
right?
But obviously this is something that we all stand for and agree with, and is a no-brainer for obviously just for the cause itself.
Absolutely.
Not just for the game. The games themselves are obviously a no-brainer, but the fact that there's 1,500 games in this bundle from all indie developers all across all walks of life.
Totally.
And just all across the world, that just goes to show that, this is a cause that how important this cause is, and they've already raised over $5 million again as of recording this. I think there's still about 4 days left of and there's still games being added to the bundle as we speak. And it's just so awesome to see, especially when I feel like a lot of people kind of think of, the stereotype of a gamer, like in a movie or something, is playing Call of Duty, and it just like the gamer bro stereotype. And that's kind of what I think people who maybe don't play video games think a gamer is. Maybe I'm just way out of touch and don't know at all what people think. I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth.
That was definitely at least the case for many years. If it's not still
through
recently.
The 90s and 2000s for sure. Yeah, it's definitely becoming, especially with these, a lot of these indie games that are like more thoughtful, many of them totally non-violent experiences. So, games have just come so far, and it appears that, we're in a moment where society is looking to take a step forward. So,
absolutely,
hoping, it's just really great to see the video game community and the indie game community in particular just being a huge force in supporting this cause. So I know we all picked up this bundle. I've been playing a ton of games on there, but a ton of games that we've even already talked about on the podcast before have been on there. I don't know if have you perused much, Randall?
I've done some skimming and just like, oh man, and like there's big heavy hitters as far as indies concerned that there are pretty cool, like Celeste and Overland, Night in the Woods, a lot of games like that. But then there's a ton, obviously hundreds of games that I've not even heard of.
I guess hundreds that we haven't heard of.
And it's just like, wow, just like what a treasure trove of indie games. And, it goes along with our whole mission statement here of like finding these, uncovered, undiscovered, underdiscovered games. So I'm very excited to kind of, sink my teeth into this stuff.
Yeah, I've being unemployed still, I've had a little bit more time to kind of poke around. And over the last couple of days, probably spent a little more time poking around than I should have. Well, I should have been putting in applications, but I still put in a few. I got a couple follow-up interviews coming up.
There you go.
But we'll see where that leads. But in the meantime, I have been playing some games, and a couple others that like we've already talked about on the podcast too. Is like I know DJ talked about Future Grind on the podcast a long time ago. That's included. Anodyne, which I loved. I know John liked a lot, or I'm pretty sure John liked a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he finished it, but I think he did. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point, but I'm trying to think. There were a couple others that Golf
Piku
Peaks
Niku
was included.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Piku Niku. Yeah, there's just so many awesome games included. And yeah, Overland was kind of the one that was early, an early edition where I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely have been wanting to check this out for a while.
Same.
And yeah, that put me over the edge, but I still haven't checked that one out yet. But one of the first games I checked out, and I actually did a stream of this on our Twitch channel, and I uploaded it to YouTube. I will do a link in the timestamps on all these games if we have videos associated with them. I promise. I've been good about that lately. I put them in the last one. A lot better. But anyways, I did like the first hour of gameplay of a game called Spring Falls, and this game was one of the few that was actually on my radar because it is coming to Nintendo Switch and possibly other platforms soon as well. But this is a puzzle game that, at least on computer, it controls strictly with the mouse. And I don't play computer games. This is actually the first game, other than Minesweeper or something. This is the first game I've ever played strictly with a mouse.
Wow!
So I'm sure there's been a couple. You didn't
play
others,
Solitaire back in the day?
Okay, yeah. See, I was just gonna say, I'm sure there's a couple others. I am the king of hyperbole. We know that. So. But yeah, I haven't played many, and certainly not in a long time, and I don't play PC games really at all, but
same
or very much. I went from having no PC gaming library to having a treasure trove,
an incredible indie library for PC. Insane.
Yeah. And so anyways, this game Spring Falls, it actually kind of reminds me of the game Golf Peaks that I mentioned, which is also included in the bundle, at least aesthetically, although that's kind of more like a card-based puzzle game. Mm-hmm. This is more like everything is based, like it's all like elevation based, and there's a bunch of hexagon tiles that you're able to basically click on and then drag them down, and then one at a time. But they have to be like you're basically just rerouting water flow. So there'll be like little pools of water, and like, okay, you can drag this tile down, and like now this pool will flow down to the next, and maybe it'll all spill out, or maybe it will all, and then you got to restart, or maybe, the nice thing, you can actually move back one move at a time. There's a little like back button.
Oh, that is
and
very
you're just
nice.
Like, okay, I made a mistake. Let me go back one move.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because at first, the first like 10 or so levels, not so tricky. Right at level 10 is actually, I think, where I first got stuck, and I'm on level 32 now.
Oh, nice.
And I am like, I've played level, I think at the end of the stream I forget what level I got to, but I think the last 30 minutes are me playing one level not solving it. So, although I did solve it today, and then I made a decent amount of progress beyond that.
Nice.
I didn't stream that though. I just kind of played it because as just relaxing earlier.
Sometimes you just need to like quit and come back to it, especially with something puzzle based,
with puzzle
like that.
games.
Yep.
Yeah. And they it's just really cool. Yeah, they're basically be like little patches of grass that like or little like areas of greenery where like if it's, or like one of the hexagons will be like fertile or whatever.
Yeah.
And if it's like surrounded by a pool of water, and then any adjacent tiles that it's touching that are also touching that water, it'll like spread, and you're just trying to get these flowers to bloom. Okay. And you have to, fertilize that. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but essentially, I can't think I feel like that term is wrong, so I'm second guessing myself, but you basically just have to like I'm thinking of erosion or something, but it's whatever it is, you're just trying to reroute the water down and make sure that it's, supplying it to these different areas and containing, moving the hexagon tiles. You can only move them down, although again, there are some that I've found that like there aren't too many different ones, but this one will, like, when it gets fertilized or whatever, I'm just going to keep using that term.
That's fine.
But once it's fertilized, it elevates one level up.
Okay.
So you some of the puzzles will involve you having to like manage. I'm kind of starting to like get how the game works, or at least changing the way I think about some of the puzzles, where I'm like, okay, clearly I need this hexagon to be at this elevation at the end of the puzzle because I need all of these to be connected to make that flower bloom. You know, it needs to be connected to that water pool.
Do they go up or down at like a predetermined level, or can you kind of customize like the level at which the hexagons go up and down?
One level at a time.
Okay.
And it has to be like, I don't know exactly how it works, but like it's something to like where it has to be tiles that are like kind of touching there'll be certain hexagons will be like kind of have a blue highlight on them, and those are the ones that you can move, and they're typically ones that are like near the water or like I don't 100% know how to I feel like I understand it, but I don't know how to explain it. But if you're playing it, it makes sense.
Hey, you made a video clip of it, so
exactly. I did like an hour stream, so
there you go.
Yeah, it's yeah, and it's of the first hour of the game, so no huge spoilers, especially because I got stuck for a half an hour. But yeah, it's just like a really relaxing. You know, there's just like this like folksy guitar, like when you solve a puzzle, or especially when you get one of the flowers to bloom. But that's another thing. You have to some of the later puzzles, you do have to keep the water contained. Like you'll get like, okay, I got this flower to bloom. Now I move a hexagon that then causes that pool to drain. Okay. And now water's not supplying that flower anymore. So you do have to, like in later puzzles, there'll be multiple flowers and you'll have to negotiate to where like, okay, I have to keep some of this water up top here or else, you know, this flower is going to lose its supply of water.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah. It's an awesome game. Like I am super pumped. Again, like a lot of these games, like, I donated what I could. Again, I'm unemployed right now, but I did donate $50. But a lot of these games, I'm going to purchase. You know, especially if they're going to come to another platform. Yeah. Like this one, like I said, I think is coming to Switch and maybe other platforms soon as well.
Nice.
But I could see this, especially because it's hex based, working really well with a controller. Or with the touchscreen controls on the Switch too. Yeah. Definitely feel like it could work. Although it does feel so nice. Like I have like my laptop hooked up to my TV. Yeah. And I was actually just laying on the couch, and it's literally just you just left click and drag, and that's the only button you do.
So you just like hook a mouse up to your laptop, and while you were looking at the TV type of thing, and
I had a wireless mouse, and I was just laying on my couch with a hardcover book and a mouse pad.
Nice.
And it was awesome. And but I feel like it would also be a great experience just playing it, you know, right on your computer at the desk too. So it'd be a good one to like just fire up. It's like really quick, like the way just the menu system. It's really just slick and minimal. Like so, you're just like, let me get right in, solve a puzzle or two, and duck out. Like even if you're at work, it could be a good like just like. You know, obviously not if people are watching over your shoulder, but if you're, you got a minute or two to, decompress or something at work, or if you're working from home.
I'm looking at some pics of this one, and it's pretty. I can tell the type of vibes that it's giving off based on what you're describing and what I'm looking at here. And that just looks nice. Just way to chill out. Yeah.
Yes, the polish is high.
Yeah.
It is like a very, very polished experience. So
seems like it.
But another game I wanted to talk about real quick, and there's a couple more. I'm going to talk about 4 games today, although one of them is very brief, and this one's going to be semi-brief as well. But another one I checked out is called The Floor is Jelly, also included in the Itch.io bundle. Yeah. And this is like a 2D side-scrolling platformer. I did no commentary on this one, but I just recorded like the first 30 minutes of gameplay and posted that as well. And it's like a 2D side-scrolling platformer. It's not like crazy difficult like Celeste or Super Meat Boy or anything like that, but it's definitely on the tougher side with some puzzle elements. There's a lot of like, there's like some of the earlier stages have like a puzzle, and it's another very just minimalistic game. Yeah. And the conceit is exactly what the game says. The floor is jelly, and it's all the walls, everything is just super like physicsy. So like when you land on the floor, it like dips down based on your momentum. And then if you jump at the right time, it'll launch you up in the air. Nice. And then you can keep using that to like springboard yourself. And then like some of the levels will use like, there'll be a pool of water. And if you jump into that, it'll flip the gravity and you're jumping in the opposite direction. You're jumping downwards.
That sounds fun.
And there's just like, it is so fun. Like I stopped playing after a half an hour because I was like, I'm definitely going to stream some of this because I was just like constantly just like, oh fuck. But there's no lives. There's no like really, if you die, you just start right from the last checkpoint, which is, it's more like kind of like a Celeste style where it's like kind of screen by screen as far as that goes, like saving wise. Yeah. So yeah, just really cool. Like it's kind of slippery. Like it's not the most precise mechanics. Like you have to use the joystick. You can't use the D-pad, at least on the control. Maybe I'm using that 8BitDo SN30 controller.
Oh, that's a good controller.
But it's forcing me to use the joystick, but it might be, I don't know that this game would feel good with a D-pad. Like stuff like Super Meat Boy and Celeste, but especially like Super Meat Boy where there's more of like a momentum to your movement. I actually do kind of like the joystick for that.
I agree. If there's like a twitchy momentum involved in a 2D platformer, the joystick can be very nice for that.
Yeah, like even playing like stuff like Super Mario World on the Switch, I actually like playing it with the Pro controller more than with the SN30.
That's wild.
Which is the reason I bought it. You know, was to play like Super Nintendo style or platformer stuff originally. But yeah, I end up using it for other things, like where I just need a more precise, like a puzzle game where I'm just hitting like up and down. You know, using the D-pad as like a D-pad.
Yes.
Because the D-pad on the Pro controller, not so great.
It's real bad.
Not so great. And the D-pad on the Joy-Cons, although actually for puzzle games, the D-pad and the Joy-Cons are great because they are just independent buttons. It actually is kind of awesome for that.
It's the only reason I could really play Puyo Puyo Tetris when that came out was that split D-pad. Like, okay, this finally works. I'm not accidentally pressing up now.
Yeah, there's a handful of games that I do actually like pull out the Joy-Cons specifically. Pardon me. There's a handful of games I specifically pull out the Joy-Cons for just to puzzle games to use that D-pad. So
for sure.
Anyways, getting sidetracked there. Like the floor is jelly, just definitely worth checking out. It's just like a really stylish, again, minimalist, like just like really like flat but vibrant colors, and just the way everything kind of like wiggles around as you land on things, and you have like a wall jump, but again the walls are also jelly, the ceiling is jelly, everything is jelly, and it is like the most extreme jelly you can imagine. Like it is just like a constant trampoline.
I love
and
that.
The puzzles are really clever, and there's a little bit of like, again, there's just like no UI or anything like that. You know, you're just like kind of going, oh, let me find this window and go through here, and here's some levels that I can beat, and you just keep going through the next window. And it is getting a little more, not Metroidvania, you know, but there's a little bit of exploration going on.
Yeah.
In like a little bit of like a hub or overworld kind of thing. But yeah, just really, really cool, really stylish, and awesome music. Just nice. So like same kind of vibe, a little more melodic than the stuff going on in Spring Falls, but yeah, just so like chill and vibey, but like bouncy, fits the game aesthetic. Yeah, highly recommend checking both of these games out, and a couple more that I'll get to in a bit. But I'm talking way too much. I'm sweating, but it is hot in here. But what have you been putting some time into, Randall?
Yeah, let me give you a break there, Kevin. It's been a bit of a crazy week for me, so I don't have a ton, but I have played, first off, a lot more Bug Fables. Like I said I would, listeners, I've continued to play Bug Fables. That game is excellent. I am going to wait till John comes back to talk more of it, because he is also playing that to my understanding. So
yeah, I know he picked it up for sure.
Yeah. So, and I've been loving it. I will say something that I didn't say about Bug Fables before, that I didn't necessarily think was super notable before, but obviously it is the music is catchy enough where like one of the main themes has been in my head more often than not, you know, over the past week or so since I've been playing that game. So kudos to those folks for making a theme that sounds like it wouldn't be out of place if it was on Thousand Year Door, but it's on this Bug Fables game. It just sounds very like GameCube accordion sounding.
The little clips I've seen and like some of the trailers and stuff, I'm like, they totally nailed that vibe, like that, just like bouncy. I keep using that word, but like that bouncy, like peppy. There's accordions and like horns. Like, just that like bit it. I don't know, it's not a good impression of it, but yeah, I just getting the vibes for sure.
Oh yeah, much vibes, the most GameCube vibes, which is fine. Yeah, that's great. So,
and that's what we do. We always forget to mention the soundtracks.
Always. Although we're doing a good job this time.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I will talk more Bug Fables. I will, because I'm going to beat that game. I really am enjoying my time with it, but more to come in future episodes with that.
How far are you, out of curiosity?
At least like 9 or 10 hours at this point.
So this is a hefty experience.
It is. Yeah. Cause I only just a few nights ago saw like the levels are kind of broke out into chapters, And I only just recently ended chapter 2 and started chapter 3. And yeah, I'm like,
heck yeah,
9-10 hours in. But like I've said before, with games that allow me to do side quests or, you know, beef up unnecessarily, I'm going to do that. So
yeah,
where other people have probably seen the end of chapter 2 in probably like half that time, I'm just not one of those people.
Well, when a game's like crafted like this with such like love and care, though, you know, you do want to see it all, you know, especially when it's got this much personality from what it sounds like.
Totally. Yeah. And I want to get the most out of it. Like that's, yeah, I'm cherishing this because it's not every day you actually get another game that's in those, you know, first 2 Paper Mario games vein. So
yeah, very
much enjoying it. But the other game that I am playing, or at least played last night, so I grabbed the Castlevania Anniversary Collection because it was on sale for half off. I'm like, and I had my eye on it anyway, even though I have most of those games in cartridge form. Like, yeah, it'd still be cool. Like, they've got extra options in there, and it'd just be cool to have that on Switch. But beyond that, a big factor why I picked this up is the game Kid Dracula, which was up until recently, I believe. This might have been, I think this is one of the first times that it's come out. It might be the first time it's come out in the US officially. I think you're right.
Besides, I'm not positive, but...
Well, at least I will say this. I'll couch that. The first time the NES/Famicom version has come out in the US, because there's also a Game Boy port as well.
Gotcha.
But I'm talking about the NES version that's on that Castlevania Anniversary Collection. And yeah, I've always had my eye on Kid Dracula. Like, I have a few reproduction carts in my NES collection, and this was one that I've always like eyeballed, like, maybe I should just get a repro cart and like go that way so I can play this. It's made by Konami. Like, this is, you know, basically in the same vein as Castlevania, but more, you know, platformer, you know, a little bit more like kid-centric kind of chibi style.
It's got that like parodious vibe almost. Like, it's not quite as like parody-esque, but I feel like that's kind of the tone they were going for. It's like the cartoon kid version of Castlevania.
That's an excellent way of putting that. It is like the parodious of Castlevania. And
those are Konami too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's parodious is like the Gradius. Yeah, so I wonder if they were kind of I wonder if there's any crossover of like the teams and stuff in those
Parodius
involved in those games.
I love Parodius. Yep.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, I love those games. But back to a game that I don't love quite as much, Kid Dracula. No, it was cool because I have those Switch NES controllers that were sold through Nintendo's website. I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not, but pulled one of those suckers back out and wiped off the dust to play this the way that I would want to play it, which is on an NES, and this is the closest equivalent I could get. And yeah, it's just like a pretty straightforward 2D platformer, like many of those NES games were. But the soundtrack is fun. You can definitely tell, like, even in the melody of kind of the main theme of the first level is like a bit of the Castlevania. One of the Castlevania themes is kind of interwoven, but it's in like such a bouncy, friendly way that it's like, oh wow, like if you weren't listening enough, you would not like recognize it right off the bat. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool that they did stuff like that. When Castlevania is meant to be so moody. So
right.
But otherwise, you play Kid Dracula, and his jump arc is kind of rough. This was a 1990 Famicom game, so not super early, but like not late either. And maybe they did that on purpose because like some of the first Castlevania games were also a little bit tougher, a little bit more like pixel perfect on the jump arc compared to something like a Mario 3. So that took some getting used to, and then as the levels started getting a little bit more difficult, specifically like by level 2, it went from a like easy breezy game into like, oh shit, like I'm missing these jumps with relative consistency now, and I should be good at this with all of my like NES game playing.
Yeah, and just platforming experience in general.
Yeah, like one of my
that's kind of
genres.
our thing, not that we're the masters of it or anything, but like those are, at least you and I, again, don't want to speak for you, but I feel like we play more of those than most types of games.
Totally. Yeah, completely agreed. And some of the jumps just seemed kind of finicky though, like where you had to jump from platform to platform. It just didn't feel good. As I got through that second level. But I will say there was like a loop-to-loop, like a cart ride loop-to-loop thing that was in the second level, and this is like pre-Sonic, so I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting that they were able to pull that off on a NES. But a lot of the gameplay, even in the second level, was like rote memorization. Like, oh, these turtles came and knocked you off, and you fell in the pit, so it's an instant death. Try again. Like, oh no, and you only have like 3 or 4 lives, and it's over. So it's like, oh boy.
Yeah. Are there any like new features like save states and stuff in this new edition or whatever?
I think there are. There's like a whole menu when you pause that's specific to the collection. I didn't deep dive that too much, but there was a ton of options there to its credit.
I gotta assume there's like rewind or some kind of feature that, because it seems like that's kind of a marketing tool or something, with these new bundles or new reissues are like, hey, you can play through the games all the way to the end.
Right.
with
definitely
these new things that make it easier,
Yeah. It's definitely more of an expectation on these like older games. If you're going to repackage the ROM, you need to add a little bit of modern quality of life touches to ease some of that pain. If you're not willing to like sit there and memorize it.
Yeah, and I don't want to sidetrack too much here, but are you familiar with the YouTube channel? I think it's called My Life in Gaming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just watched some videos of theirs recently.
Oh yeah.
And
those guys are great.
I was watching a video about they're awesome.
Yeah.
And I just found them recently, and I was like, how do I not know about these guys? But
I would have told you if I didn't think that you already knew. I just figured you already were aware.
Yeah, they see. Yeah, I probably sound like an idiot right now. Be like, hey, have you guys ever heard of My Life in Gaming? But anyways, I watched a video about like different like patches and stuff like ROM patches and stuff. Have you watched that video? Are you familiar with this one? I don't know if it's a newer one or whatnot.
I might have. I've definitely watched videos like that in the past, and I've watched most of their stuff because I get as geeky as they do practically on a lot of this stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of you the whole time. They're like, oh, if you compare the S video cards, and they're like showing them side by side, and I'm like, I can barely tell the difference on some of these, and they're like, you can clearly see
the difference is about $250. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But anyways, I really appreciate all the information and stuff, but they were talking about this Castlevania patch that actually patches like the Castlevania 1 and 3 to where you have control mid-air of the jump.
Ooh.
Like you can finesse the jump.
Yes, please.
And you still get knockback, like if you're midair and you get hit, or if you're on the ground, you always get that knockback.
Yeah.
But if you're midair and take a hit and you get knockback, you do regain control.
Oh, okay.
When you're in midair after like a certain amount of time, which is a lot of games work that way. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but you get like a little bit of like, if you're maybe falling off the edge, you get like a split second to kind of catch yourself.
Right.
And just in the little clips they showed, I was like, oh, that just makes those games look so much more playable, because I've never even given them a fair shake of like trying to the original, not so much into 2, because I hear that just got a little more obtuseness going on with But 1 and 3, I mean, I love that style of game, but that super deliberate jumping. Again, not to get too sidetracked, but if you're into that kind of stuff, like patching, they claim all this stuff like you can run it on the actual hardware if you have like a flash cart and stuff like that. So these patches supposedly work.
Yeah.
I got to get one of those flash carts. Yeah. That seems like a really cool thing to have, especially you with that analog. SNES setup you have.
Although you can sideload ROMs if you like do the firmware jailbreak stuff on those systems too. And
gotcha.
I don't know if you can apply patches. I think you can. Yeah, I think you'd probably be able to pull that off without even needing to get one necessarily.
Oh, and running it off the actual cartridge, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I got to get one of those. How many times have I said that on the podcast? I got to get one of those analogs. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack. But anything
I'll take
else to add on like the Castlevania conversation, or
not
or Kid Dracula for that matter?
Not too terribly much. Yeah, it just kind of left me wanting to play like a better NES platformer or like Castlevania 3 instead, which still has those kind of like regimented jumps, but it feels like the game was more designed around it than this game is. I don't know. It's still, like I said, it still has charms, and I actually I love things like cute 'em ups and like we talked about Proteus and those type of things. So it's not like the aesthetic bothered me. If anything, it pulled me in, but yeah, the gameplay kind of pulled me back out, and especially not having any nostalgia goggles for this experience that happened pretty quickly. So
yeah, that's a bummer because it's also caught my eye before too, like seeing screenshots and gameplay and stuff. Yeah, it definitely looks cool.
But hey, I mean, if you were to grab the bundle, you're getting like the NES Castlevanias and Castlevania Bloodlines and Castlevania 4 and like, so, you know, that's a...
Oh, I didn't know Bloodlines was in there. And I actually did think that this was the Game Boy. I actually kind of forgot. At some point in time, like this rings a vague bell, but I kind of forgot that there was like an NES and a Game Boy version of this game. So, of Kid Dracula. So,
cool.
It's cool that that's included. Does it have the Game Boy one too, or no?
Good question. I just immediately went for the NES one, but I'm not positive on that. It might.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll maybe follow up on that, but probably not. So, but yeah, I had a couple other games that I wanted to talk about real quick. Again, back to that Itch.io bundle. For racial justice and equality.
Yeah.
I got I played just a little bit of this, and again, not having a ton of PC gaming experience. I think like this was one of the ones that I booted up, and it had kind of like an initial screen that was like, what do you want to set the graphics quality to? And what do you like? Some games I just double clicked and they started.
Right.
Just like as if I were playing on a console almost, you know, where like this was like, you know, what's your screen resolution and then what do you want to, there was an input section that I didn't have to go to, but I tried messing with the controls and changing it to use a controller, and I think I messed something up, so I wasn't able to play that much, but I forgot to mention the name of the game. It's called Six Match.
Okay.
And I played this, I did play a little bit on the keyboard, and it's a really, I don't want to say simple. That feels like cheap, but it is like a simplistic, you know, in design. It's like pretty basic pixel art, and it's like a match 3 puzzle game.
Okay.
And you basically have control of a die that's on the board. And it's kind of like plays more like Bejeweled, and you have 6 moves with the dice to make a match. And then it resets every time you make a match, and you can just move, you know, with the D-pad up, down, left, right, or with the, you know, keyboard up, down, left, right. And then, you know, if you move to the right, the gem that's off to the right will swap places with you. So you're just like moving, and it's just kind of swapping in a direction. You have I think up to 6 rewinds. So this is where I kind of got into I don't think I had a button to confirm and stuff that. So like I think I just messed something up. So like I definitely want to play more of this, and I just wanted to mention it because I think it's something that you and I would both really like.
Oh yeah.
It seems like level based and like high score based.
Awesome.
And just really clever mechanics. There's not a lot of music, but it's like really like I really like all the sound design. Like it's just really like cool, like satisfying sound effects when you're making combos.
That's always a big factor in puzzle games. Always.
Yeah, and they are like slightly melodic, you know. They're like these little chimes and stuff. Like I just really like how it sounds. And there are like some kind of bomb power ups that you can get, and like will blow up a whole row.
Nice.
I don't know if I don't know if I like hit a button that did that, and I had a supply of them. Like I messed something up in the control setup, so I do need to check more. I do need to confirm and make sure I have the settings, or maybe uninstall and reinstall and just play it on the keyboard. You know, because it isn't anything that demands a controller.
Right.
You know, I was just trying to lounge on the couch and play it.
Right.
But really,
so there's no like
really
time limit to make your moves or anything like that? There's nothing.
No, it's just the limit of the number of moves you can make.
Yeah.
And if you don't make a combo after 6 moves, it seems like you can rewind one turn at a time, again, like up to 6 times per round. But again, I'm not 100% sure on that, because there was something that I wasn't able. I did it a couple times where I was able to rewind a move or two, but like I need to play it I need to play more of it to follow up more, but the mechanics of the actual puzzle solving are awesome. I just need to make sure I set it up properly.
Nice.
So yeah, you should definitely check this out, because it doesn't take much. It's like a really quick, like get into it. Again, I probably would have played a lot more if I wouldn't have messed with the controls and just played it with my keyboard right off the bat.
What was that one again? Six
match.
Six match.
Just
okay.
like the word six, not the number. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. And then I did have one more game that I wanted to talk about, also included in that itch.io bundle. It's called Eat Girl.
Yeah.
And I intended to just like, oh, this looks pretty cool. I'll play a minute of this and just like record a little bit of footage. And I ended up playing about an hour or 45 minutes or so.
Nice.
And it's kind of like a, Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, I guess, with the Eat Girl name. But like, it's got a lot more going on where it's like, so you kind of start out in this, like you have an initial like tutorial level or whatever, and you collect like there'll be three sets of dots on each level where it's like you collect all the, I forget what color order it goes in, but it's like all the yellow dots. And then after you collect those, then a bunch of blue dots will spawn in kind of like a different area of the level. Okay. And they're all like single screen levels. And then you collect all those. Yeah. And then after that, after you collect those, then there's like pink ones. There's always 3 sets, at least in the levels I've played so far. I've played about 15 levels.
Yeah.
And then there's like a hub world, and you kind of like have to go around, and the conceit is like, so you can, just like Pac-Man, as you hit up, down, left, or right, you're going to move in that direction until you hit a wall or whatever. Right. But you can also hit a button to stop. And that's the only button from what I've played so far, at least. And that will stop you. And then you're also gaining momentum, at least to a point. So there'll be certain parts, or even in the overworld or the hub world, but even in the levels, there'll be like boxes that you can break. There are some gray boxes that are like darker that I haven't been able to break yet. I don't know if maybe you get a power up, maybe you learn a new ability or something. Yeah. I don't know, but they're regular, like, brown looking like crate boxes. Okay. And if you get like enough speed built up and you can see like a streak coming from behind your character when that happens, you can bust through those boxes. So that'll either maybe unlock like a new secret level in the overworld. Yeah. Or it will sometimes be like incorporated into a puzzle of a level. Sometimes you don't have to break the boxes, but they'll make it easier to traverse the level. And to avoid, like, there'll be a bunch of different enemies. They're not like ghosts. There's all kinds of different like patterns. And it kind of reminds me of like Pac-Man meets that another game we've talked about on the podcast before, Cyber Protocol. Like that more like fast-paced stuff going on. And it's like, you'll just be in these like really tight corridors, and you're having to like, so even if you change direction or if you stop, you're not losing that momentum, only if you hit a wall. So you're kind of having to like zigzag or like loop around and like zig through corners to keep your momentum going without hitting a wall. And again, using that stop function to like, I just need to take a breather. And it doesn't, at least for what I've gotten, it's not like it goes so crazy fast that it's like out of control. It feels great.
What's the advantage of keeping your momentum in that circumstance?
In this case, like to break through those boxes.
Okay. If you don't have enough wouldn't momentum, be able to unless you were like really going ham. Okay.
And it's, from what I can tell, it's like you kind of have like maybe there's like a slight initial start speed, and then like you kind of have like a regular speed, and then like the picked up like momentum speed. It's not like you're not like ramping up like, some insane, it's not like Race the Sun or something like that, where it's, oh my God, but it does get intense. Like I was like, it was definitely like every time I was dying, I was like, fuck, just screaming and like, oh man. And this is another one. I didn't do commentary, but I recorded like the first 45 minutes of gameplay. Nice. And man, it is like it was right, but I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm just gonna check this game out, and I ended up playing about an hour. Nice, and it is awesome. Like I love the vibe, like the sound effects again, and the music. It's like really like vibey and like almost like has like a haunting quality to it a little bit with the music, like a little spooky.
Big
like
factor with this type of game too, to have a nice sound effects and soundtrack.
And even like the menus, everything about this game is like, it is a high quality production.
I like the logo on this game too. That's cool.
It's cool. It's like, it's really like neon-ish. That's cool. Yeah. And it is awesome. Like it is like a really visceral game. It's like really engrossing though. Like just that little extra element of like having a hub world and like having individual levels that are all totally different maps. And like, again, the reason it reminded me of Cyber Protocol, there's like teleports where you're like, you go through this, little pink portal and you'll appear at the other end of the map. And like enemies, like, there'll be some like there was these ghosts that would like kind of drop like a stone, or they looked like ghosts. They were one of the few enemies that actually kind of looked like Pac-Man enemies. But like if they I guess they wouldn't necessarily drop. I'm making it, it's same kind of gameplay as Pac-Man essentially. So it's like basically if you got close enough to them, if you were to the left of them, they would just kind of like dart in that direction to the left and never stop.
Okay.
And then until they hit a wall, but if they ended up going into one of the portals, they would just keep looping continuously through the portal, which would then make the level super hard because like now you got to like dart through while that enemy is flying way faster than normal.
And it's one hit kill like Pac-Man. Yeah,
one hit kill, but really quick. The one hit kill to where like you actually do have to restart the level over each time, like, completely. But they're really quick, bite size. Like I did get stuck on a couple, but they were more of like the ones where like I broke a box and found like a secret-ish level, and like maybe this one's supposed to be a little harder. But yeah, just like it's awesome. I'm just so happy that I got this bundle because I'm finding all these awesome games and like. Again, I will happily purchase these games on other platforms and just happily just looking forward to seeing what these developers do in the future if they do continue to work on more games and and looking forward to supporting, just people that I at least can make some general assumption that they're not bad people.
Yes, that are willing to support this awesome cause and then like put together this fantastic collection of indie games for us to like sift through and find all these gems. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm really going to make a concerted effort to like do at least, especially with the streams and stuff that I'm going to do and like videos, especially while I'm unemployed and have a little bit of extra time, like to kind of shine a highlight on some of these games.
Totally.
That maybe, again, even for me, like I do dig into this kind of stuff pretty frequently, like looking for undiscovered games. And there's just so many of these that I had, again, all of these games other than Spring Falls, never had even heard a mention of before. And they're all fantastic. So
how cool is that?
From what I've played. So really, really excited about having these and really excited to support these devs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but anything more you want to add on this week or anything you're excited playing in the bundle or like anything you're eyeing up as like the first other than a 6 match? Because obviously you have to play that one.
I have to play that. And actually Eat Girl sounds fantastic. Like, that
I'd be really
up
curious to
too.
get your thoughts on that. And it works, dude. The controller support, it's perfect. It's everything in that game works absolutely perfect.
Nice. Yeah, I was kind of curious about that too, if like it was plug and play with the controller, because I always appreciate that with PC games being more of a console guy in the first place.
Yep, so. Same here. It's for the most part, other than the little snag I had with 6 match, which is on me. That is a user error, not on the dev. But yeah, it is. That's the only really hiccup I had. Even playing a game purely with a mouse, which I've pretty much never done.
Right.
Even though you proved me wrong.
No, there's a lot I want to get into in the bundle for racial justice and equality. Like a lot of these games look very interesting to me at a glance, but I have a very old computer, so that's an impetus to upgrade said computer for the first time in a decade. I think to actually like these are indie games we're talking about, so like most of these are not super intensive system wise, but still like my computer is old. So
yeah, I know what it's like. I'm recording our podcast right now on a 2009 iMac. So I know what it's like to run an old Mac, man. It is rough, but it still gets the job done.
It does.
It's still, we've recorded. This is episode 57, so 56 episodes. I'm not going to jinx it and say 57 just yet because this one's not done deal yet. So
yeah, maybe I'll try to download a couple of things on my old Mac here and see if it can still sing.
Well, let me know if you start Overland, because I know we both piqued both of our interests. So let me know if you get into that, because I definitely want to check that out. So.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I know by the time this episode comes out, there'll only be maybe about 24 hours still to grab that bundle.
Yeah.
At the most. So, but hopefully most of you listening to this episode have already picked it up and supported the cause.
Yeah.
I really think it's just fantastic. Again, they're already at $5 million. Who knows how much they'll have raised and what games will have been added. And there's a massive thread. There's so many people that are wanting to support this. So
that's awesome. How cool is that?
Again, it's really heartwarming with everything going on in the world right now. It's really heartwarming to just see such a huge group of people coming together to support a good cause and part of the gaming community that, you know, we like to consider ourselves part of.
Absolutely.
So anyways, as always, you know, you can find our stuff on pursuingpixels.com, and all the links are in the episode description, as always, like at the very bottom. So you can just click on those. But we have Discord, YouTube, Twitter, I think I mentioned already, Instagram, pretty much all of them. I think Facebook's jacked up right now, so I'm not updating that.
I mean, it's Facebook, so
yeah. Although they own Instagram too, so
Instagram's so much better.
It's pretty much unavoidable. But yeah, it's it's an easier platform. Except you can't post from your computer. You have to do it on a phone. It's so dumb. But anyways, other than that, I'll end my complaining there, because there's bigger things to complain about right now.
Yeah, I would say so.
But yeah, I think you can find us at all those places. And until next week, we'll catch you then. Take care and stay safe, everybody.
Bye-bye. And I know I need to go pretty soon because I'm like, my neck is like killing me, but
yeah,
we didn't even talk about the fact that the PS5 got revealed today too.
Oh my God. Yeah. I didn't even watch, actually. I kind of forgot. I texted DJ about it, and I forgot.
That was a thing that happened. Have you seen it?
Watch it at all? No.
Oh,
I mean, I saw what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think it looks sweet, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. They have to put so many like basically computer components in these machines now that they're not going to be like super sleek designs at this point because they have to be huge.
I did think it was hilarious. Somebody posted, I think it had like a ton of likes, so I'm sure you might have seen it, but somebody posted a picture of like a PS2 with a white binder around it.
Yeah.
And it looked like strikingly similar.
Someone else had like a white purifier, like an air purifier, that like a stand-up one that looked a lot like the PS5.
Yeah, and somebody else had posted like, you got the Microsoft refrigerator and the PlayStation router. Which one are you gonna get?
Yeah, which one of these two? Because you won't be able to fit both of them under your TV. They're both gigantic.